our interest payments are higher than our Defense Department budget. If we didn't do something about this, then there won't be any money for anything.
So what if the safest, most stable investment in the world, the foundation of pensions, retirement accounts, and entire countries, is starting to break?
But the longer term is still uncertain, and the market response to the back and forth has been volatile, especially when it comes to the bond market.
You are going to see a crack in the bond market, okay? It is going to happen. And I tell this to my regulators, some of who are in this room, I'm telling you it's going to happen, and you're going to panic.
And that was Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, which manages about $4 trillion in assets. And he put out one of his most serious warnings, and he's not alone. We're already seeing huge cracks overseas. In Japan, the 30-year government bond has erased about half of its value since 2019, going down by about 45%. Just in the past year alone, the interest rates went up by 100 basis points, causing unrealized losses for Japan's biggest life insurers.
Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone who do rule and teach well. Peace and blessings as always, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Barakadam, to the sincere believers, Akim and Akwath, out there listening, learning, keeping the faith and diligence of our Lord Yahushai, occupying your faith in the prophecies until all is fulfilled, and Lord will, we are redeemed. So, the spirit was on me heavy this morning, when I got up to get into this right here, these few topics I have set up. And, it really just speaks to the fact that this world is rapidly passing away. All right. There is no future here. There is nothing to hope for. There is no light at the end of the tunnel for this place, man. This thing is over with. And we ain't got that much longer left here. And every day that goes by, like if you've been paying attention, if you've been, tuning in to the men of the Lord, then you know that this place is on the way out. All right. Brothers constantly going into lessons every day, every hour, because we know what the end goal is. We know that Esau, he wants to bring about the MOTB. We know that he wants to bring about martial law to lock everything down. We know that he's going to set up a digital technocracy. We know that he's going to make everybody lose their jobs and get on UBI. We already know these things, but prophecy develops, you see. So we know the end goal, but we're, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, showing you how he's going to get there, all right? Which is warning you of what is to come, warning you of the future events, all right? So brothers go into these shows, all right? And we show you what this devil got going on, okay, and what's going on overseas and all that, and everything that pertains to prophecy. So we're in a time where this world, the fashion of it, as it is written, is passing away, and everything is about to go down, man. All right, we are very, very close to the return of our Lord Yahweh Shai, and I want to start in the book of 1 Corinthians. First Thessalonians chapter 5, and we'll start at the top. The day of the Lord, which is rapidly approaching. 1 Thessalonians 5 and verse 1, but of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. You see, so our beloved brother Apostle Paul, all right, told us that, look, you have no need that I write unto you, right? For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. So you already know what's going on, all right? You already see what's taking place. You see what's transpiring. And again, we know the end goal of all of these things, what it's leading to, all right? But we're just telling you the means that this devil is taking to get there, okay? Because ultimately what he's trying to set up on the earth is peace and safety, but he's doing it by chaos, okay? Order ab chaos, bring the chaos, then you bring about your new order, which is going to come in the name of peace and safety. Okay? But what's going to happen? Sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So ultimately, we know that sudden destruction is coming upon this earth. Okay? But it's going to be wrapped in the guise of being safe. Okay? This is a safety measure. This is to bring about peace, right? And that's the narrative that this devil has been putting out there. But ye brethren are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. Ye are all the children of light and the children of the day. We are not of the night, nor of darkness. Therefore let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. Right? And this is why the Lord has set up watchmen through the Spirit, to where anything that happened, we're going to speak on it. We're going to bring it up. Okay? We're spiritual news anchors, if you will. All right. Again, you have brothers putting up videos every hour, every day, man. So there's no excuse as to why you should be in the dark as to what's going on. If you're paying attention, then you well know what time it is. All right. But let us watch and be sober, for they that sleep, sleep in the night, and they that be drunken are drunken in the night. But let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and for an helmet, the hope of salvation. Right? For Yahweh has not appointed us to wrath, but to obtain salvation by our Lord Hamashiach Yahushai. And this is ultimately what our sincere hope is, that we be saved from these calamities coming upon the earth. Okay? Because what's coming is not going to be nothing nice. You know, we're in the midst of Jacob's trouble, as we'll get into in this lesson, man. We're in the midst of it. Okay, we're in a time of great sorrows. People losing everything. People are being priced out their homes. They losing their jobs. You know, cars are being repossessed at an all-time high. Credit card debt is at an all-time high. Nobody's traveling. People are having to decide whether they want to pay for their rent or whether they're going to eat. Okay? Suicide rate is at an all-time high. Children are depressed. Animals are depressed. The whole of the earth is mourning. All right? So again, there's no future here. All right? We have no continuing city in this place. The Lord is rapidly bringing this place to an end. And call her Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Okay? Then when you go to 2 Timothy, the 3rd chapter, right? Because we're in the midst of perilous times. Difficult times will come. We'll start at the top, 2 Timothy 3:1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. Okay, perilous goes into what? Dangerous. All right, so we're in the midst of some dangerous times, man. You have people that they got all type of spirits and demons on them. All right, you got wars brewing in the streets, civil war. Okay, you have World War III brewing overseas. Very soon they're gonna implement military drafts. Okay, you have the food going scarce. People gonna be fighting over resources, man. Everybody's gonna have an evil eye towards each other. All that, you know, so-called love that people have, man, is turning cold in this time. Right? We're in the dog eat dog world, man, and you're already seeing it. But it's gonna get much worse. This is only the tip of the iceberg. You see? So these are the times that we're in, man. These are the times that our Lord Yahweh Shai warned us of in these last days. Okay? So dealing with this video right here, man. The bond market is collapsing. JP Morgan's final warning. And this guy, Jamie Dimon, which is the head of JP Morgan Chase, all right, he's been coming out really for years and has been sounding the alarm, forecasting what is to come. And see, what's happening right now is that there's about to be a financial collapse, and these devils know it. Okay, this is why everybody's bailing out of the stocks. Okay, because stocks are really predicated upon debt. All right. The more shares that you hold in a company, you know what I'm saying? Like people that invest in the car market. How do you think people are able to be so lucrative with the car market? Because people are still buying vehicles. Okay. And guess what? None of these people that are taken out, unless you're paying full cash for your vehicle, which very few people can do. Majority of people take out loans on the cars, which is what? Debt. Okay. And you make payment on their vehicle, you're only really making payment on the principal, on the interest. You're not paying on the actual car. Okay, but people that invest in these auto industries, okay, if you invest in a dealership or whatever have you, that's some pretty lucrative, good money that you can make, man, because people are always putting themselves into more debt. So that's how the stocks run. But right now, overseas, you have nations such as Japan that are dumping U.S. bonds. They're dumping the stocks, man, because the dollar is on the way out, and ultimately, there's a new global financial digital system that's being set up. So, again, they're bailing out, man. So what's going to happen to people here in America? Well, they're going to lose. They're going to lose their retirement. They're going to lose their 401k. They're going to lose their jobs because these Fortune 500 companies, all right, they're not going to be able to operate or make a profit. So they're going to be seeking to hold their bottom line, okay, which means laying off their employees. You see, there's no trade coming into America like that. People not traveling here, all right. Container ships are empty. Dock workers are being laid off. AI and automation is taking over. You see? So this is the fall of America, Babylon the Great, man. This is the fall of the West that we're living through. The collapse of an empire. And this is what the elites need to bring in their new totalitarian digital system, man. It was, you're pretty much going to be a slave to AI and robotics, all right? They're setting up surveillance systems in states like Texas, California, to where they're, putting a lot of cameras on the streets, you know what I'm saying? And with the AI, they're able to pretty much know who you are just by facial recognition, by biometrics. Okay, very soon they're going to have to put that chip in you to where you're going to be a part of the system of the grid. And if you're not, okay, Revelation 13, 16, 17, you won't be able to buy and sell. You won't be able to live in this world. Okay? So let me go here. Yeah. Inflation alert. Latest economic data signals prices are rising as tariffs reach consumers. All right, so let's check this out.
In context, everyone, thank you for joining me. Today, we're diving into a pressing topic in the global economy, inflation in the United States and how it's being shaped by a wave of new tariffs. If you're wondering how trade policy, prices at the store, and your paycheck are all connected, you're in the right place. So let's break it down. In May, U.S. consumers experienced higher inflation, especially when it comes to merchandise. And you would ask, well, why is that? Well, here's the answer you may not want to hear. This is because companies are starting to pass along higher import duties, tariffs in other words, to consumers. According to Bloomberg survey, core consumer prices, which exclude the more volatile food and energy categories, rose by 0.3% in May, and that is the sharpest monthly increase that we've seen in the last 4 months.
Not really big into committing to things. I usually stop binging the show halfway through the first episode. I mean, remember when...
For context, in April, that figure was 0.2%. The trend up is certainly noticeable. It can't be ignored. In my last video, I shared Trump's latest tweet, well, one of his most recent tweets, because he tweets a lot. And so his post was about the U.S. economy, and he said the U.S. economy is, quote, booming, and inflation is dead. Word for word.
So you see this? So this devil, man, DJT, look at what he said. Prices are down, income is up. Our border is closed. Gas is cheap. Inflation is dead. Our country is booming. Booming where? You talk to the average American, they're not going to tell you that the economy is booming. They're going to tell you that they're struggling. They're going to tell you that things are worse than ever. So this dude, man, he's been set up to gaslight you. Okay? And you have to understand, America is a corporation. So within a corporation, you have different, you have different departments that deal with how the corporation is run. And within the corporation of America, you have the politicians, which would serve as your marketing firm or your salespeople. Okay, this is why every 4 years you have a presidential campaign. You got all the theatrics, you got the back and forth, you got the debates. All right, you got this candidate saying what they're going to do better than the next one when they all on the same team. You see, they're just trying to sell you a vision that hopefully you invest in, that you buy into, to where you can put your trust in these people, and ultimately they can be justified in whatever they do because you voted for them. All right. So these people are set up to lie to you. They're set up to deceive you. They're not set up to benefit your best interests. Okay. So these are the sales people of Babylon the Great, man. They're really set up to sell you falsehood and sell you lies and a false dream that will in the end not amount to anything. Okay, so this is why this guy can come out and say things like this, man. Why? Because he's selling you a false hope. This is what people want it to be, but this is not the reality of the situation. But let's continue.
Word. That is what the US president said. And so I asked you to comment. I said, I would love to hear from you and just let us know if you agree. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but I would love to hear your thoughts on this particular post. And many of your comments indicated that the reality is very different from what the US president portrays in his post. Prices are actually rising, you're struggling with the rise in prices, and income levels haven't kept up, which is also a very, very important point to keep in mind. So thank you to every single one of you who commented and who responded to my question. I appreciate it. On an annual basis, the Core Consumer Price Index, or CPI, is projected to increase to 2.9%. This would mark the first acceleration in inflation this year. Economists say that this is a sign that tariffs are beginning to bite, and let me remind you, this is just the beginning. We're just starting to see. This is the tip of an iceberg. The recent increase in core prices is partially due to what economists call a partial pass-through of tariff costs. What does that mean? It means that businesses are not absorbing additional costs. They're sharing them with consumers. Now, businesses do not absorb additional costs. They can't. To stay in business, they must share those costs with consumers, or they must, of course, cut operational costs. If they believe that the increases are temporary, they may choose to absorb these costs to to a certain point, because they do have to maintain a profit margin that is acceptable to them, to their shareholders, to stay in business. At a break-even point, clearly anything worse than that would, of course, cause quite bad consequences. But, of course, businesses start laying off people, they start reducing inventories, and naturally raising prices to deal with higher input costs. At this time, industries like furniture, apparel, and auto parts are among those affected. Now, on the other side of that spectrum, airfares, hotels, and recreational services have been trending downward, which does provide some relief to consumers. This is partially due to a decline in tourism across the United States. So again, this is not driven by positive factors. According to Bloomberg Economics, even though we might see inflation in goods, it might be partially offset by deflation in services. So there's a silver lining there. Still, these rising goods prices are enough to concern the Federal Reserve, especially as they prepare for their next policy meeting on June the 17th and the 18th. President Trump has continued to push the Fed to lower interest rates quickly. He seems to do this on a daily basis, but Fed Chair Jerome Powell and his team have shown a great deal of patience, I would say. They're watching the data very closely, especially inflation figures and job market trends, before making any decisions. But certainly we're about to hear what their next step is in just a couple of days. Right now, the Fed is in a blackout period, meaning no public commentary until the meeting, but upcoming inflation and producer price data will play a crucial role in shaping their decisions. At the same time, jobless claims, a leading indicator of stress in the labor market, increased to the highest level since October of 2024. So on top of that, if you watched my video yesterday, you may remember that I shared the latest payroll ADP data.
And see, a lot of these companies, because I've seen a few videos where, people were saying that their job pretty much laid them off the day of, So if you had a shift from, let's just say 8 to 1, and then somebody came in from 1 to 6 or something like that, the person who worked in the morning that already left the workplace, they wouldn't even know that the job was shutting down. All right, only those that came in the afternoon would know that they lost their job. All right, so that's pretty much like you getting fired on your off day. But people will go to work, and their place of employment will tell them, hey, this is going to be your last day. We're shutting down. Which I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure how that's set up legally, but I'm pretty sure that that's illegal, man. All right, giving people no notice. They just show up to work and it's like, today's your last day. That's crazy. But these tariffs are starting to take effect. These tariffs are starting to take effect, and these companies, they're getting very weary. They see that the stock market is plunging. All right, the bond investment is collapsing, so they're looking to just lay everybody off. And ultimately, this is the plan from Esau Edom anyway. And I wouldn't be surprised if Esau is actually giving these companies incentives to lay their workers off. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't even be surprised if that's what's going on behind the scenes. But the bottom line is, people are losing. Okay? There's no hope in this world, man. And see, what's going to happen from all this is that people are going to be replaced by AI and robotics. Okay? And you're going to get put on a universal basic income.
As of May, and it is very bad. The latest labor market data shows that in May, the private sector added only 37,000 jobs. That number is far below expectations and a significant drop from the month prior, from that 60,000 jobs added in April. In May, economists expected to see something closer to 110,000 jobs added. So you understand how the difference between 37,000 jobs added and the expectation of about 110,000 jobs, how that is shocking. It is very bad news. Now, remember that the job numbers last year were likely overstated by close to 1 million jobs, 907,000 jobs to be precise. And this is according to BLS data that was released earlier this week. There is a massive gap, as you can see right now on your screens, and if you would like to quantify that gap, it's about 907,000 jobs that are overstated. And there's this difference between the NFP data and the QCEW data, and that's where that gap is located. So the labor market is slowing, inflation appears to be rising. What does that sound like? Let me know in the comments below what you think. Now,
that sounds like it's over, man. Sounds like America is over. Let's go here. All right, because check this out. States are beginning to roll out universal basic income. This is from John Williams. This guy puts out good videos, and I believe this guy is a insider, what I'm saying? Because I think he invests in real estate and stuff like that, but he already sees the writing on the wall. All right, he knows where this is going. And ultimately, even for him, all right, because he's an investor, all these layoffs and the housing market crashing and stuff like that, he's gonna lose out too. So best believe that all these guys are worried. You know what I'm saying? All these investors and financial people, they're all worried. All right, because everybody's about to lose very soon when Esau pulls the plug on this system. Because remember as well, Esau, he's gonna go lights out. All right, there's going to be a blackout, man. And I believe that blackout is going to be synonymous with the banks going under and people just losing everything. The great taking, right? So this is John Williams. States begin rolling out universal basic income. As a matter of fact, let's get a scripture. All right, let's get Habakkuk chapter 2 in verse 1. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower and will watch to see what he will say unto me and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. You see, so the vision is for an appointed time. And the men of the Lord, starting with the elders and apostles, have been on the scene telling you that these very days would come. all right, to where this devil, he would ultimately move towards his ultimate goal of implementing the MOTB. And once again, this is progress in that direction, okay? Stringing the people along, making them lose everything that they've worked hard for, and ultimately when they have nothing left, as they do now, that's when you come in with this new solution. Okay, we're gonna give you money. All right, you're not gonna have to work. You're gonna be on a 3-day work week or something like that, and you're gonna be good. All right, you're not gonna own anything. You're not gonna be able to travel as freely as you once did, but it's okay, because why? We're giving you peace and safety, right? You see, let's go to 2 Peter. Second Peter 1, we'll go down to 19, 18. 2 Peter 1 and 18. And this voice which came from heaven we heard when we were with him in the holy mount. We have also a more sure word of prophecy, whereunto ye do well that ye take heed, as unto a light that shineth in a dark place, until the day dawn and the day star arise in your hearts. You see, so we have a more sure word of prophecy. All right, land backing off of Habakkuk 2 and 3, man. Okay, the division is for an appointed time. This is now the time where these things are coming forth. You see, so let's check out John Williams.
For years, billionaires like Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk have warned that a universal income is coming.
But what to do about mass unemployment? There will be fewer and fewer jobs that a robot cannot do better. Ultimately, we will have to have some kind of universal basic income.
At the time, it sounded like science fiction, but now it's here. Los Angeles. They're paying people $1,000 per month.
Monthly payments for a year directly to struggling families with no strings attached. LA City Council approved this yesterday. 3,000 families will receive $1,000 a month in direct cash payments for up to a year.
New York is proposing guaranteed paychecks for low-income residents. Cities like Chicago, Columbus, and Atlanta all proposing their own versions as well.
Some expectant mothers will receive monthly checks through a first-of-its-kind initiative here in the city.
Oakland County Job and Family Services has a new program that could help families who are struggling to make rent payments.
A new project to help the homeless has the support of Denver's mayor. It will include a monthly basic income of around $500.
This isn't a handout. It's a response to something much bigger.
3 shocking reasons why butter belongs in your smoothie.
The reason butter is called butter.
Because the cost of living is out of control.
The majority of Americans don't make enough money to cover some of the basic costs of living, like healthcare and rent.
A new report.
And see, this is all deliberate. Because why is this happening now? This is the solution to the chaos that they created. And you have to understand, these devils, they control the stocks. They control the financial market. All right? So they can prop it up when they want to, or they can crash it when they want to. Remember when a few months ago Trump announced those tariffs and you know, the stock market, everybody started selling like crazy. Right then he came back and said, okay, well, we're going to put a 90-day pause, and the stock markets went back up, showing you that everything can collapse within a moment's notice. All right? If they want to crash it, everybody just sell. You see? If you want to prop it up, you just make an announcement and everybody's going to buy into it. You see? So what they have done now is they've destroyed the lives of these Americans so much so to where this is now needed. As you saw with Elon Musk in the clip that he played. In the future, there's going to be very few jobs that a robot can't do. And we see that they're implementing robotics and AI into everyday life now. All right, they're pretty much making that the standard. So if that's the standard, what is the need to have a human being, you know, at a call center? You know what I'm saying? What is the need to have a human being working at fast food or working at, you know, whatever, you know, Walmart or whatever, man? There's no need, because now you can get robots and AI to do the work of 10 people. And they don't need benefits. They don't need vacation time. They don't need sick days. All right? They don't get tired. You know what I'm saying? So this is all the wiles of the devil, man. Okay, this is why we're supposed to have on the full armor of Yahweh Bashim Shai, that we know what's going on and that we can protect ourselves in the spirit. You see, but what this devil Esau got going on is a well thought out, cunningly devised. All right, because the scriptures say that Esau, he was a cunning hunter. Okay, meaning that he used unorthodox ways to hunt his prey, which is the same thing that Esau do. And this is all a snare to get you to be destroyed, man.
Found a quote, minimal quality of life is out of reach for the bottom 60% of American households.
AI is replacing jobs, and business owners are cutting costs.
Around 29,000 tech employees were laid off in March 2025.
More layoffs coming to multiple Bay Area tech companies, with hundreds of people set to lose their jobs.
Meta, Amazon, Microsoft, and Alphabet are now signaling as much as $320 billion in capital expenditures among them this year.
And the old economic playbook for many people simply does not work anymore. In this video, we'll break down why this shift is happening now, what it says about the present U.S. economy, and what I'm personally doing to prepare for the future. Because whether you agree with it or not, the way money works in America is changing quickly. Here's the part nobody expected. UBI is not driven.
Yep, and that's the scripture right there. Okay, let's go to 1 Corinthians 7. All right, because as he said, the way that you use money is changing. Right, 1 Corinthians 7, and we'll go to 31. And it reads, and they that use this world, you know what, I'm going to start up at verse 29. But this I say, brethren, the time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none, and they that weep as though they wept not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoiced not, and they that buy as though they possess not. So we're in a time where you're going to have to leave this world behind, man. Okay? Everything that you have comfort in this world, you're going to have to leave it behind. You can't take this with you to the kingdom, man. This world is under judgment. This place going to be destroyed. All right? This is why the scripture is saying what it's saying, man. Okay, verse 31. And they that use this world is not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away. See? So the fashion of this world is rapidly passing away, man. The way that you used to do things, the way that you found comfort in certain things, that's all passing away. And see, the only ones that are going to stand firm in this time of trial and adversity are the true believers in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. All right, everybody else, they're going to run towards the world that the devil has. Salaki, well, the solution that the devil has, all right, which is this new, satanic world order that's coming into effect, man. They're going to seek his solution because this world is all they know. They don't have faith in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. You see? So yeah, the fashion of this world is fastly passing away. And this is why it's even more imperative now to be grounded in what you believe, to be fully convinced, right? Because we see that prophecy is jumping off the pages. All right, let's continue.
Driven by the federal government. It's being driven by mayors across the country. Why? Because local governments are seeing something that the headlines won't say out loud. People aren't just struggling, they're slipping through the cracks. Traditional welfare programs, full of red tape. Emergency aid from pandemic in 2020, fully gone. Wages have not kept up with rent and basic living expenses. And long-term job stability is gone. So cities are doing something that the federal government has not. They're cutting through the bureaucracy and just giving away cash. No applications, no job training workshops, and no waiting 6 months to get approved. Just money, because the bills will not stop. These mayors are not calling it a UBI. They're calling it guaranteed income. Some are going as far as saying it's just a pilot program. But the message is the same. The old system is failing many people. And this is the new backup plan. Started in 2020, and it's gradually ramped up since. For decades, if you fell on hard times, there was at least a safety net. Food stamps, rental assistance, Medicaid. But today, the nets have holes big enough to fall straight through. In 33 states, SNAP emergency benefits have expired, cutting grocery expenses up to $250 per month. Millions now rely on food banks just to get through the week. Rental assistance programs dried up. Evictions have soared as costs For property owners, insurance, taxes, the cost of debt service continue to get more expensive, and their tenants' wages simply have not kept up. In California, they are proposing a new rule for low-income people on Medi-Cal. If you have more than $2,000 in savings, you could lose your health care. Think about that. You save a few $1,000s, and you get punished for it. People aren't turning to UBI because they're lazy. They're turning to it because the old system was not built for the cost of living in 2025. And when you're drowning in bills filling out a 12-page assistance form for $300, it's simply just not a solution for most people. Let's talk about survival, not luxuries, not vacations, just everyday life.
POV, you just learned how to tell if your olive oil is fake.
You've been using olive oil wrong.
The average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in America is about $1,500 per month. In cities like New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, it's more than double that. Grocery prices are up 20 to 30%, and if you want something healthy, it's even more than that since 2020. And these prices are not coming down anytime soon. Eggs, milk, chicken, bread, they're all draining paychecks. Childcare is now the second rent. In some states, it costs more than in-state college tuition. And health insurance, even with a job, the average deductible is over $2,000. One medical issue, and most people are buried. This isn't just inflation, it's accumulation. Prices went up and never came back down, and household incomes are softening. That's why cities are pushing for a UBI, because for millions of Americans surviving to the end of the month, it's no longer about budgeting. It's about doing the impossible. If you're wondering why cities are suddenly stepping up to pay people directly, it's because the federal government is out of room and out of ideas. Right now, the U.S. national debt just crossed $36 trillion.
The national debt stands currently at about $36.2 trillion, and every day, the U.S. spends about $2.6 billion paying the interest on that debt.
That's more than the entire economy produces in a single year. And because of that, interest rates are now higher than they've been in 2 decades. Think about that. The government is spending more on interest rates than they are in our military. And regular people, they're stuck with 7% mortgages, 20 to 25% APRs on credit cards, and rising car loan and car insurance costs because of this mess. And here's the kicker. The economy needs consumer spending to survive. It makes up 70% of the US GDP.
Yeah, because this is a debt-based economy. This is a debt-based society. Everything runs on debt. Your credit score is based on debt. You see? So if you want to have a good credit score, if you want to, be able to get a house, get a car with a decent APR, decent monthly payment, you have to have some sort of debt to your name. Okay? And the more debt that you have, the better. You see? So the fact that people are defaulting on their debt, these companies, the stock market, that people invest in, they're not making out too well. So this is why things are about to crash, man, because people just don't have the money to make any payments. You see? Consumer spending accounts for 70% of the U.S. economic activity. So if nobody's spending because nobody has any money, what's going to happen to the economy? You have to know that it's going to collapse, man. Okay? And this is the forecast. And this can happen at any day now. All right? On that note, let's go here. Check this out. Trump warns, let me get this out the way. Trump warns court ruling against tariffs could lead to economic ruination of America, the U.S. You see? President Donald Trump.
As an independent financial advisor, my promise to you is simple. As a fiduciary.
Yes, like it. Put that on. All right. So, President Donald Trump claims losing tariff legal battles would allow foreign countries to harm the U.S. economy. And no, it's America. It's these elites that are harming the U.S. economy because this is all a part of the plan. President Donald Trump on Sunday said if the courts rule against the administration sweeping tariffs, it could mean the economic ruination of the country because his position is that these tariffs are going to help America, right? But it's doing the exact opposite. All right. The Post comes after the U.S. Court of International Trade ruled unanimously on Wednesday to block the use of an emergency law to enact punishing import taxes. Members of the three-judge panel, who were appointed by Trump, former President Barack Obama, and former President Ronald Reagan, said Trump has overstepped and does not have, quote, unbounded authority to impose the tariffs. Yeah. But see, he's going to do it anyway. All right. He's going to force it through because he wants to ruin the American economy. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the order that he's been given from his elite handlers. Okay. If the courts somehow rule against us on tariffs, which is not expected, that would allow other countries to hold our nation hostage with their anti-American tariffs. Yeah, right. That they would use against us. See, this dude is set up to lie to you. He's set up to gaslight you, man. Okay? So all of what he's saying is complete BS. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows exactly what's going on. All right? So then you go here. Joe Rogan exposes provision in controversial Big Beautiful Bill that prohibits state and local governments from passing laws regulating AI for the next 10 years. You see, so Trump called it the Big Beautiful Bill, right? But when you actually get into it, there's all kind of stuff that's a detriment to the American citizen. Okay, but he totes it as the Big Beautiful Bill as if it's a beautiful thing for you. No, it's a beautiful thing for himself and his elite buddies. Okay, so this AI, because remember he said that he invested $50 billion into AI and robotics infrastructure, right? When he first came into office. Well, this is what it looks like. Okay, and this is all contained in this Big Beautiful Bill. Right, so this man Trump is indeed that cruel Lord, you know what I'm saying, spoken of in Isaiah the 19th chapter. In a recent discussion, top podcast host Joe Rogan brought attention to a contentious provision tucked into President Donald Trump's expansive legal proposal, dubbed the Big Beautiful Bill. This bill, officially titled the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, has sparked debate due to a clause that prohibits state and local governments from regulating artificial intelligence for a decade. The revelation, amplified by InfoWars, has raised concerns about the implications of such a sweeping federal moratorium on AI governance. So they're about to really expand AI unrestricted, man. They're about to go crazy with the AI, which is why you're seeing job loss increase. You see, the clause explicitly states, no state or political subdivision thereof may enforce any law or regulation regulating artificial intelligence models, artificial intelligence systems, or automated decisions systems during the 10-year period beginning on the date of the enactment of this act. Okay, this is an attempt to create an AI dictatorship. Overall, I support the BBB, but this extremely dangerous section must be pulled out, and that's not the only one. All right, there's a lot more stuff that this devil snuck into that bill that you don't know about. It's going to be directly harmful against you. Okay, this is the devil that we're dealing with, man. See, hey, when you go back to the book of Genesis, it tells you what? That the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. So the way that he moved, he's not going to be covert. He's not just going to put it out there, you know what I'm saying? And let you know, hey, you know, I just put a AI governance clause into this bill right here that says, you know, within this 10-year period, no state can pass a law against it. All right. And look, this is why you're going to have seditions among men, because you are going to have certain states that's not going to go for this, man. All right. You're going to have people that are going to buck up against this once they find out what's really going on. Okay. And let's go to 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter. All right. Because these seditions, then we'll go to 2nd Ezra chapter 9. 2nd Ezra 15 and verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. The modern day sword is the gun. For there shall be sedition, or uprisings, protests, among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. And the reason why they're not going to regard their kings nor princes is because of things like this. Okay, because they're passing laws in the legislation, okay, that is directly against the American citizen. It's not to their benefit. So people are already at that point to where they're gonna be like, yo, to hell with these politicians, to hell with the law. We didn't sign up for this. All right. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. They're not going to regard the president. They're not going to regard the mayor, the governor. All right. They're not going to regard their, Senate or, state councilmen. All right. All that's going to go out the window because people going to see that these people are full of shit. And the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So they're going to do what they want to do, man. People going to take the power into their own hands, and it's going to be blood in these streets. And they're going to come for a lot of these politicians, which is why they're getting out the way now. Okay? They're going to shut stuff down. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. You see? So these are the things that are coming upon the earth. All right? Let's go to 2 Ezra chapter 9. Right? Because it says that when you begin to see, as we'll read, 2 Ezra chapter 9, in verse 1, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes, which we're seeing a lot of earthquakes happen all over the earth, just as our Lord Yahweh Shah told us, in diverse places, and uproars of the people in the world, these seditions, these protests, these rebellions, right? What does this mean? Verse 4, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. And this is the end of Esau's world. 2 Ezra 6 and 9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So all these events that you see and transpire marks the end of this current age and the beginning of the age of Yasha'Allah, of the kingdom of Israel, man. Okay, which shall never be brought down. All right, eternal rulership in righteousness. Okay, which is what this earth desperately needs, because look at what the wicked has done. The wicked has completely destroyed the earth, destroyed the people, destroyed the environment, destroyed the animals. Everything is under mourning. Okay, Proverbs 29 and 2, when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. And that's Esau. He's the wicked. All right. Even so, also the times, it's like even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings in wonder and powerful works and endings and effects and signs. You see? And everyone that shall be saved shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby ye have believed. Right? So our faith is going to carry us through, man. Our faith is what's going to, give us salvation in these times, having the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, which is going to make us stable in a time of adversity when we're going to have to go through that fire. Okay, but hey, the end is manifest, man. Clearly, the end is manifest. Moving on here. Trump to deploy 2,000 National Guard troops to LA County to combat violent protests. All right, so we already know, man, this is the devil pursuant to Revelation 12 and 12 coming down with that great wrath. Okay, and this is going to be, you have to keep in mind, when these devils are going to do something nationwide, they usually do it in LA, New York, or Chicago. Okay, because that's really mainly LA, because that's mainly like the testing ground, all right, for what they want to roll out nationwide. And you see it every time. The same thing happened during the CV-19 back in 2020. I think New York and LA, they were like the first ones to really start implementing lockdowns, man. So when you see this right here, 2,000 National Guard, all right, sent to LA County to combat violent protests, and these protests are a response to the unrighteous decrees that have been sent forth with these ICE raids, right? to go and gather up northern kingdom, you know what I'm saying, to persecute them. All right, so look, this persecution is already coming down. All right, Esau, he's sharpening that sword against you tribes out there, and it's going to start with the northern kingdom, and then it's going to go to the southern kingdom. Okay, this is what's happening, man. These are the effects and signs that we're seeing in these times. All right, let's go to Isaiah, the 13th chapter. Because right now, man, people are in fear. Okay, people, don't know what to expect next. You see, but this is the end, judgment of the day of the Lord. Isaiah 13 and verse 6. Howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand, and it shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt, and they shall be afraid. Pains and sorrows shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate. And he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. Let's jump down to verse 11. And I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease. And I will lay low the haughtiness, the pride of the terrible. You see? So this is what the Lord is setting up, man. All these things entail judgment. Okay? So you have to remember as well that Esau, he's the sword of the Most High. Okay? In Psalms, right? That King David said to deliver me from the wicked, which is thy sword. Okay? So Esau, he uses that rod of correction, that whipping stick. Okay? On the left side of the Heavenly Father, man. So this is really the Lord's judgment that's coming down, but he's using Esau to do it. Okay? So the Trump administration announced the deployment of 2,000 National Guard troops to LA County in response to escalating protests against immigration raids conducted by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And a lot of those so-called ICE agents are actually deputized militia forces. Okay, no doubt that Trump gave them an incentive to say, okay, yeah, well, if you go out there, we'll give you, X amount of money and this, that, the third. You know what I'm saying? But these are privatized militias that are being set out here, man. All right? And they hate you tribes. So they're not going to have no mercy. All right? It says in 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter, let's go there, that they shall be as madmen sparing none. All right? Look, this is what Esau's on. And he's not beating around the bush with you tribes no more. Now he's openly coming out and showing you how he feel. You see? Let me see here. Yeah. 2nd Ezra 16. And let's start at 68. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered to idols. And they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden under foot. For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. They shall be like madmen sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold in the fire. Verse 74, Hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same. And this is the time of Jeremiah 30 and 7, the time of Jacob's trouble, man. Okay, this is what is coming upon the earth, but it's going to start, because the scriptures say the judgment will start at the house of the Most High. So it's going to start with you tribes first. Okay, Jeremiah 30 and 7, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble. Okay, this is the time where you Israelites are going to be in trouble, man. Okay, because the Lord is bringing down their judgment, but he shall be saved out of it. All right, so the time of Jeremiah 30 and 7 we're in the midst of right now, perilous times, dangerous times. Okay, and this is how the devil is moving. You see? So, hey, for those of you out there that love Esau, you know what I'm saying, you want to save this man. Well, guess what? He's about to show you that he don't want to be saved. All right. He's about to show you that he's not your friend, that he's not with you. Okay. That he's ultimately here to destroy you and take you out. All right. The decision follows 2 days of intense clashes between federal immigration agents and hundreds of demonstrators in Paramount, California, a predominantly Latino community. You see that? Predominantly Latino community located about 20 miles south of downtown LA. The unrest began on Friday, June 6, 2025, after ICE conducted a series of immigration raids across LA, detaining at least 44 individuals suspected of immigration violations. Okay, which these individuals are not they brought them in here. They're not guilty of any immigration violation. They were let into America. They were bussed in. They were flown in. They were shipped in. So how can you say that they are in violation of immigration, man? But see, when you look at what Biden did during that whole mass immigration thing, that was nothing more than a snare to get you tribes into America, so that ultimately he could demonize you and come up against you and justify destroying you, man. That's all that it was. And this is what you see being carried out now. All right, they even talking about they got Marines on high alert to be deployed in the LA riots. So what do you think this devil is setting up? Well, he's setting up to do away with you Israelites, man. That's what he wants to do. Okay? They about to send the U.S. Marines out there, man. So they're really at war. Okay? These devils are really at war with you tribes out there, man. You see? And this is why the Lord said in Matthew, the 24th chapter, Matthew 24 and 20, but pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh saved. For the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. You see? So we're in a time of great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be. And unless the Lord shorten the days, man, it should be no flesh saved. All right, so this devil Esau, he's openly declaring war on you Israelites. Okay, let's go to Revelation 12. Because we know what Revelation 12 and 12 say. All right, but that red dragon, all right, Esau, Edom, Revelation 12 and 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Okay, as we just read in Matthew 24, that the Lord shall shorten the days for the elect's sake. Well, the days being shortened also means that Esau's days, his rulership is being shortened as well, and he can see it. Okay, that's why he's coming down with great wrath. Okay, now when you go down to verse 17, and the dragon was wroth with the woman, okay, which the woman represents the 12 tribes of Israel, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of Yahweh and had the testimony of Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. Okay, so it says, and went to make war. See? So this devil, man, if he's sending in Marines and you know, heavy military equipment, you know what I'm saying? And you know, AR-15s, and you know, he's gonna be bringing the helicopters. What is that? He's declaring war on you. Okay? And Esau, that's his blessing, the sword. Okay, that this man would live by war, man. So again, those of you Israelites out there that love the so-called white man, well, continue to love him, and he's going to show you how much love that he really got for you. Okay? Going right here, experts warn AI could drastically reduce the Earth's population. Right? So there's a lot of things going into this AI that Esau got up his sleeve. But one of the agendas that we know is at play right now is depopulation. Okay, so he's looking to knock off majority of the Earth's population, all right, by this year, next year. You see? Look at that. An expert has raised alarms about the potential for AI to drastically reduce Earth's population by the year 2300, which we ain't gonna have to no damn 2300, man. Okay? We're in 2025. You really think that the Lord is gonna allow this devil to go on another 200, something odd years? Man, hell no. We about to get out of here, man. I will be shocked if we even have 5 years left here. Lord willing, we don't have 5 years. Potentially shrinking it to the size of the UK's current population of approximately 67 million. Damn. So check it out. On the Georgia Guidestones, they said 500 million. Okay? Now, you know what I'm saying, you got Esau coming out talking about 67, so that's even less. That's even less than what it was before, man. So, wow. That's crazy. But again, this is why the Lord got to shorten the days, man, because if he don't, there would be no flesh saved. This devil's looking to have at least 67 million people on the earth, man. Wow. Okay. News from the East. Iran condemns racist mentality behind U.S. travel ban. So, Trump just put a travel ban on all these countries. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much on the brown nations, you know what I'm saying? A lot of those so-called Middle Eastern, Western Asia countries, you know what I'm saying? A lot of African nations, a lot of Oriental nations over there in, Far East Asia, you know what I'm saying? But Europe is still open, you know what I mean? These Edomite nations are still open to travel, okay? But, so that's why Iran is condemning this racist mentality, okay? All these Edomites are damn racist, man, right? They don't love nobody but they own. But you Israelites should already know that. Okay? Behind U.S. travel ban. An Iranian spokesperson called the move a sign of a supremacist and racist mentality dominating U.S. policy. And that's the way that it's always been. All right? You ask Jake right here in America, it's always been like that, man. But see, now these other nations are starting to see what Esau is really all about. Okay, because Trump has been pushing Iran to stop their nuclear program, but Iran has pretty much said, to hell with you. You know what I'm saying? We're going to do what we want to do. And if you want to come up against us, do what you got to do, but we're going to be ready. So, let me drink some water. But, Iran is pretty much like, look, we don't give a damn because, you're not going to bully us. We have a right to defend ourselves, so we have a right to operate within the sovereignty of our own nation. But Esau is pretty much telling them, like, no, you can't do that. You can't build nukes. But even though Esau has nukes, though, but no other nation can have them, because really the whole threat about it is that Iran is in close proximity to the nation state of Israel and the Israeli regime. They don't like that Iran, can have nukes to pretty much launch at them in their backyard. Okay, so the decree has already came down to say, look, either Iran is going to stop their nuclear program, or we're going to have to do what we got to do, go to war against them, which is what America is preparing to do. Okay, Iran has sharply criticized U.S. President Donald Trump's travel ban on its nationals and those of several countries, calling it, quote, racist and a sign of deep-rooted hostility towards Iranians and Muslims. Trump earlier this week signed an executive order that bars and restricts travelers from 19 countries, including several African and Middle Eastern nations. Okay, that's pretty much it. We ain't got to get too deep into it, but these global tensions are rising as well. So not only do you have, tensions here in America that are at an all-time high, also overseas, man, which all these things are leading to World War III. We're really already in the midst of World War III. Look at the war with Russia and Ukraine over there, all right? Russia is heavily bombarding Kyiv right now, okay? But once they take Kyiv, it's all over, okay? Which is why now you have, I think Zelensky is going to a NATO summit. So, we'll see what happens, but more than likely, they're going to make Ukraine a part of NATO. All right? So if Ukraine becomes a part of NATO, That's really the end game right there. You know what I'm saying? That's when Russia's going to go all out and have no mercy upon Ukraine, man. They're going to put everything that they got into that. And they're going to do what they got to do. You see? So the signs of the times are manifest. You know, we just got to keep watching, keep holding the faith, you know, and keep uplifting ourselves in the spirit, man, because, you know, these times are deadly serious. And the fashion of this world is passing away. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close out here. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying and informative through the Rakah Kadash. Call Allah, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakah Kadash. And until next time, Lord willing, shalom to the elect, Kum Yashala, Wa Babu Bo. Shalom.